a steel cage that has coated rubber around it. You go into a cage to fight a man for money that believes that he's the best, who knows where he came from. This next guy I'm fighting is from Brazil. Right. How is his upbringing? You don't know. You truly believe in yourself, but to go in there, I found peace in that. I found peace. I found calm in the chaos, for me.
What's going on, everybody? Check it out. This episode is with Cody No Love Garbrandt, fighting this Saturday at UFC 300. We had the pleasure of interviewing him, and honestly, a huge fan, and I couldn't thank him enough more for doing it with us.
Yes, Cody, we greatly appreciate your time. In fact, Ross was so nervous that I had to do the intro for him because he didn't know what to say. It's a little behind the scenes glimpse into things, but we appreciate your time during your training camp, UFC 300. And for those that have been watching our videos, we greatly appreciate it because without you guys, the fans, we don't have a channel. We can't do any of this. So to help us out, if you could just subscribe and share with other people, we'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps us out. We got a lot of great videos coming up soon. Ross, you want to say something else?
Yeah, I do. Check this out. It's fake money.
Today's amazing guest is one of the best professional fighters in the world. He is an author. He is a father. He is the proud owner of No Love Bullies. He was a coach on The Ultimate Fighter 25. He is the former UFC Bantamweight Champion. And he just so happens to have a PhD in the School of Hard Knocks. Ladies and gentlemen, Cody No Love Garbrandt.
Man, thanks for having me, guys.
What up, man?
What's up,
What up?
Good intro, School of Hard Knocks. Only A's I got. School of Hard Knocks.
Going right into that, so, you came from the Hard Knocks, you know what I'm saying? So you were brought up in a life, so you had a lot of, street fights before you even got in MMA, right? Yeah. Like back in Ohio. So that's kind of how it started, or what?
A ton, yeah. We kind of grew up, in a violent way, our father was in prison. Our real father was in prison. But our mom was always took care of us, made sure we had what we needed to have. But, my other uncle as well, that got me into boxing, he got a life sentence at 15 years old. So, got acquitted of charges 23 months later, gave himself to the Lord, really dived into boxing. And, with his path was, carved my path because he was our father figure in our life. So he took me and my brother to the gym all the time at a young age, and osmosis, we'd watch him, and I'd put on the gloves. I wanted to be like him because we didn't have a father, so that was our father figure to us. And he was always coming to flashy cars, the jewelry, the lifestyle that as we got older, we were like, wow, this is pretty shit that he gets to do. He was very successful. Just the lifestyle, going to the fights. He'd be taking us to bars and strip clubs, as a teenagers after the fight. So that's it was like our friend, but like our father figure. Like it was just so many, brought up into.
When did you go from kind of dealing with in the streets, taking to the ring? Because you have an amateur record of 32-0, right? So your boxing path is really good.
Right. Yeah, I love boxing. I think wrestling obviously was my first love. My mom put me and my older brother. He's 10 months older than me in wrestling. She was a single parent to help us get in. And to something that was going to help us out, and we were just rambunctious kids, probably just to take the edge off us, and we have an hour and a half in wrestling. She would let us go get all crazy, get tired, and be able to sleep at night. So we were always doing things, me and my brother were very competitive, but wrestling was our first love. And then obviously going to the gym and having my uncle take us and watching his fights. We went to a couple of his fights when we were growing up, and those are always just spectacles, always.
Was that your Uncle Mike?
Uncle Mike was my other uncle that was actually incarcerated over half his life too. He's actually doing really well. He's been clean and sober for about 7 years now. Doing amazing. But prior to that, he had just a life full of just drugs and violence and things like that. He was hooked to heroin. I had a lot of addicts on both sides of my family. And my father, same thing. He got his arm blew off when he was a teenager, climbing up telephone wires to the copper out of it to sell it on the black market. He had 60% of his body burned up. So he lost his confidence. So he turned to drugs and alcohol. And, my grandfather was very abusive super abusive to him, like even to my grandmother, even when we would go out there and stay, would, physically abuse her even at their old age. So they grew up just, that's what they knew, violence and just survival. So for my uncle to be able to be where he's at, and train me to, foreshadowing me to be a world champion, with, what he had to come through and come up from. And, I'm always thankful and appreciative, but wrestling was our, start. And then my mom was kind of, didn't want us to box. She was afraid of us being punch drunk or getting punchy. And, but wrestling is a violent sport as well, so is Pee Wee football.
Right.
Pee Wee football. I mean, I've had so many concussions from Pee Wee football or football growing up, played all the way through high school. For me, like, it was always, me and my brother was together with everything we did, so we always had that, just never quit, never give up. But also our mom instilled that in us too. When you go on a football team, if you're not the starting quarterback, what happens? The mom comes and the coach that Johnny needs to be the starter because it's so-and-so. Our mom was like, no, you go out for the team, you work hard, you earn your spot. If you don't like the coach, okay, you don't have to go out next year, but you don't quit in season. You're not going to quit, and never let us quit anything. Once we started that season, we had to finish it, So I am just so thankful for her and how she instilled that, mentality at a young age, like, don't quit. And, like, people, man, if it gets hard, people quit, that starts as a child. Like, helping with my son, he's super competitive. He doesn't like to lose. Like, we'll race up the stairs. You know what I mean? He's like, first one upstairs win, and I'll change it halfway up there. Like, well, actually, the last one that wins. And he was like, no, he freaks, So I tell him it's okay to try and fail and learn and grow and understand. Like, so now he's talking on the way up. He's got wrestling tonight.
Right.
And he's like, oh, Dad, I'm just, what if I don't get a takedown? And I said, it's all right if you don't get a takedown. It's okay if you don't get scores. It's okay if you lose. I said, but if you don't give up, you never give up. When it's hard, you like, even when you're doing push-ups and they make him do like a 2-3 minute whole day wrestling stance. And I love that because he's 5 years old and his legs are shaking, his arms are shaking. He's just wanting to go down, but they're keeping him, building strong bodies, strong minds to holding that wrestling stance. And it was funny. This was a few weeks ago. It was after practice. And he's like, oh, Dad, my whole body was shaking. I saw it, but I saw it, buddy. The whole body was shaking. I said, you know what you didn't do? I said, you didn't put your hands on your knees and you didn't get up, come out of your stance. I said, you won that. And he goes, I know, but it was so hard. I said, it was super hard. I said, the good thing is you just said you like wrestling. He said, I love wrestling. I said, well, things that you love are going to be hard to do. It's not going to come easy. He's always asking about, if you had this, would life be easier, or would it be easier to live this way? Like, he's very, a thinker. He thinks
right.
and tries to figure out things. He's always been like that. And now when he's getting almost 6, he's asking his question. I'm just like, sitting there and putting myself like how my mom would just help us out, just with little things like not letting us quit in season, finishing it. And so just instilling that kind of in him.
For people at home that grew up with a similar background as yourself, how do you program your mind to get the negative thoughts out, to maintain that power of belief, to really pursue your dreams and really manifest what you want out of life and just always keep pushing forward? Because a lot of people have, Ross and I had tough upbringings as well. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people don't know how to deal with their mind, because if you can control your mind, you can get a lot further in life if you can cancel out those negative thoughts.
Well, I can say for me, growing up, we never talked about emotions or was taught about, the mental side of, the mental fortitude that you needed to have. And inside of just say wrestling, I grew up wrestling, in Ohio. It's, a great state to wrestle in. We went all over. We traveled all over the world, or the country, to wrestle since we were, can ever remember. So, the wins and losses and maybe not getting the state title or not getting the national title. But for me, it was always like the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, what at my hardest days of workouts, or the day the dog kicked out of me, or I didn't do so well at the tournament, or the days that I won, I was amazing, I felt great. What was always my end goal? Like, I always had something like I had to chase. Like, I was chasing more than just a medal at this tournament. I was chasing far more greatness. Like, I visualized and manifested even before I knew what that kind of stuff was. Until I read the Alchemist book and then the power of the book, The Power, all these other books that show you about manifestation, visualization. Like, I can just always remember I was a freshman in high school and projected not to place at in the state tournament. I think they placed top 6, not even placed, but had like a Brakeman report. They call it preseason. Oh, they rank everybody. Who will be the state champion? Who's this, that, and then I was like 9th. Like, oh, this is a freshman, but it could be a dark horse in the state tournament. From where I was from. But I was always in class, and I would write on my planner like Cody Garbrandt, freshman state champion, weight class, Claymont. And I remember my mom, when we were younger, she got us state wrestling tickets. It was a huge thing. Go to the state tournament in Ohio at the Jerome Shot Scene Center. Like, oh, it was amazing, to go watch her. It's all of our teammates, or our school I went to, the high schoolers made it there. So we were wanting to represent and go down there. But going in there, we were in the nosebleed. We had binoculars, but I got the visual. I got the vision. I got the announcer's name, or his voice. And that was in my mind. When I would sit there and do for years, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be the Parade of Champions coming out, getting on that mat, and wrestling in front of 20,000 people. Like, that was always something that like scared me, but also motivated me and pushed me and like helped me be driven to that vision that I had as sitting there in the nosebleed with the binoculars at 5th grade. Like, to be able to go and do that. So for me, it was always like, first identifying what you want to do, what's your dreams. And there's going to be, I understand there's going to be people that's going to always deter you away from that and tell you can't do this, can't do that. For me, it was always just like, first, if you're blessed with the dream, you have vision, like, be thankful. Because a lot of people can't see past that vision, can't see past, something far rarer than just being mediocre. So a lot of my dreams and visions were so far-fetched that sometimes in my own mind, I don't even want to tell them to the closest people to me because they probably think I was so crazy. But you have to be crazy to chase greatness or chase, success, and continue to repeat it over and over in different times and stages in your life. So for me, it was just always, what would help me out was manifestation. So like I would say, I would write on that planner the whole name, and I would have the announcers' names. So it would be like so disheartened. And then like on the hard training days or the, days of doubt, we have demons of doubt daily. You have to just kind of, battle those to, just be present. I feel like every day, even to where I'm at now, like, I still do that. But that's something that I've learned and overcame and trial and error. But now that I work with a sports therapist, I was doing a lot of things right without even knowing, just internally. Like I said, it's in you. If you're going to be great and be successful and overcome a lot of things, you're going to have to do a lot of setbacks, a lot of failure, a lot of nights that you're questioning your own self. I mean, well, how not? How are you going to when the whole world around you doubts you? It's just internal. It's how we have it. Like we have that, but it's reprogramming your mind, building your body, but also building your mind to push past that. Little setbacks to overcome.
For you to say that, every day you got to tell yourself, no matter what, no matter, it could be sunny outside, you just wake up and you just feel like, but you got to tell yourself, I'm going to keep pushing myself. And it's just a testament to show where you're at. And it's great for people to hear that from you because it's amazing because we all go through that every day. And, some people see someone at the top of the top and they never doubt that they don't know what that's like. Well, no, you're like every day you deal with that, man.
Yeah, it's great because, like you said, like people see, the end result, but they don't see the work that has gotten us to the end result, and for us and the setbacks are, just so many times in my life where I was, looked like I had it all, but I didn't, what I mean? I had a world championship, but this part of my life was failing or, so just about like, as I'm getting more involved with going to sports therapist, actually I had it this morning. He's awesome. He's Micah, ex-MLB player. Just worked with him almost 2 years now. And it's called a bicycle factory. You have to man the wheels, man the seat, put everything. And you can't just go up there and be a boss, sit, kick back, and think all the work's done. By the end of the time, the factory's done. The bike comes out, it's missing pieces, its tires are on wrong, its handlebars are on. So you have to, go through and, keep minding every machine. So it's not like up, down, just level and balanced. I think that as I grow more experienced in this life and this career, more calming, and there's this chaos that this career brings. We go into a steel cage that has coated rubber around it. You go into a cage to fight a man for money that believes that he's the best in the world. Who knows where he came from? This next guy I'm fighting is from Brazil. Right. How is his upbringing? you don't know. You truly believe in yourself, but to go in there, I found peace in that. I found peace. I found calm in the chaos, for me. And learning more and more about the brain, how it works, and the thoughts and intrusive thoughts that we have. Like, I'm like, ball up this piece of paper and throw it in the trash bin. Like, make this shot, I'm going to win my next fight. It doesn't matter if you make the shot or you don't make the shot. You miss the shot or you make the shot. That's not going to happen.
Right.
This is intrusive thoughts. So just being able to control those and just understanding how powerful the mind is, how many thoughts that just go through, our mind, clean thoughts and dirty thoughts. It's like laundry. You got to clean.
Correct.
So mental health, depression. It's okay to have these feelings, because it's like, it's kind of like not talked about. But I think more and more, like I saw an interview with Volkanovski, how he was depressed and drinking every day leading up to the Islam rematch. 3 or 4 weeks he was in just, it was depression. Saw a little bit of the article. He's depressed. He doesn't know what next to do outside of being in fight camp. Because when you go through routine and rhythm and structure of every day and of camp, like I have 3 sessions a day, and then in between I have PT, I have my lunch, or I have to see my therapist, I go do some body work. So when you don't have that, it's like, man, like, what's your purpose? You know what I mean?
Right.
What's your purpose? But you got to find out more. You're more than just a fighter. Like you said when you introduced me, I am an author. I keep forgetting that. I'm a father. I love, that's my favorite title to have ever. But no more of that, but it's okay to have those feelings. I go through it too. I go through it, like when I don't have structured routine, I feel like it's just everything. I get anxiety. I get, so overwhelmed sometimes with like just no understand, like, hey, just coming back down, doing some resets to make sure you're present. Like, it doesn't matter what, the fight's 7 weeks away. I mean, we're going to talk about it. We're focused on it. It's in my mind. I'm training for it, but it's not end all.
Right.
Like right now, after I get this podcast, I go get my son and take him to watch him wrestling for an hour. Have him,
and we talked about that.
Through,
you see, and you were super thrilled about it. It's awesome. You know what I'm saying? And how was that when you jumped from being in Ohio to Team Alpha Male? How was that?
Oh man, that was just, it's that feeling I take back, because I just remember like just going out there. I was 1-0 as a pro. And I had a whole year off. I broke my hand in my pro debut. Finally, got to be a professional fighter and got $500. I broke my hand, I had a plate put in it because it snapped in half, my first metacarpal. And then came back relatively quick. I think 2 or 3 months I was back in the gym booking the fight. And then looking the next fight. I want to stay busy, finally pro. Like, let's climb the ranks, get in the UFC. My dream was always to do that, man. Like, always. Like I said, first time I saw UFC, remember I was in Danville, Illinois, on a national team for Ohio Lightning, and Forrest Griffin, those guys came on fighting in the UFC Ultimate Fighter, and we remember taking the beds off the mattress and putting them up the wall. And we fought like we had 24, 30 people on the team, and we'd fight. And like me, I was just a little. I think I wrestled 80 pounds. I fought all the way up to heavyweight. Until I got to my brother's weight, and I was like, Zach used to kick my ass a lot, bro, a lot. But I would get a couple in right off the back, because I know it's faster than I can move. So I would just stick them, and then next thing I would just take that. Like, fuck it. Like, at least I got some in. Like, that was my moral victory. At least I got some shots in on Zach. But yeah, seeing that, like, the first time seeing fight, that's what I wanted to do. And that goes back to like hearing Bruce Buffer. That's a distinguished voice. Dana White wrapping the belt around my waist. That's something I always wanted to do, even though like I probably wasn't going to be, 155. These guys cut from 200 pounds to 155 back in the day. In the early UFCs. Like that. Then WEC 135, 145 my weight. I was like, okay, cool. That's why I gravitated to Uriah Faber and Team Alpha Male in Sacramento. And like we spoke earlier, Lance Palmer grew up together. Him and his brother Colin were, powerhouse. St. Ed's, wrestled at Ohio State. And Lance was actually out there training on the team, became a pro fighter. No amateur experience, just thrown right to the dogs and out there and went pro. Like the testament of how athletic and just amazing abilities that kid has.
Right.
As an athlete, as a human, one of the best guys too. But so I went out there, I remember at 18, I tweeted to Uriah and like, I don't know, one day I'm going to get out there, broke kid, didn't have no money. How am I getting to California? I was still an amateur fighter. I think I was still in high school. I was like 17, 18. And Uriah tweeted me back like, hey, I'm going to watch some of your fights, watch my fights. I was like, wow. And then it wasn't until I was 22 that I made it out there, But I was at a gym. I had great training partners in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I had a lot of guys that, I grew up with on the amateur scene and moved to Pittsburgh and did that at the Pittsburgh Fight Club. But I was like, let's go see how good I am. My visions are to be the best in the world, not to just to be a guy that fought in the UFC and be happy with that. I want to be a world champion. And, I was able to make it out there with help of Nick and Melissa. They own the Fight Club, so they ended up taking me out there. I worked for them. I was an MMA instructor at their academy. That's where I trained at as well. We had a lot of pro fighters in the Pittsburgh area. So got to go out there, see the gym, see the guys, mix it up with those. They had the best guys in the world at that time. Uriah, TJ, Joe Benavidez, Chad Mendez, Danny Castillo, Andre Fili, Chris Holdsworth. I mean, the list of, to where I was like, having guys had part-time jobs training with, like we just come in and spar and sometimes grapple, but like out there they had the structure, just the martial arts lifestyle. I never grew up in a dojo in a martial arts. Boxing's way different than anything. They don't bow to your sensei. You don't, anything like that. You don't have any kind of just going there. It's kind of more hood, more boxing, So going out there, just having that structure, routine every day, Monday through Saturday, there was pro practice, and it was like, oh, whoa, we're doing this side. You train, you just don't spar and go like, there's actually like, I had no idea. Like that's how we did. I would go bounce around from gym to gym, like in Ohio, just sometimes like we would be in a horse barn with a kerosene heater to heat it up, and we'd have to be in layers and layers of wind in the winter. You guys, same area, same coldness, to where like at 8th round you could pull a layer of clothes off. So I went out there and I was like, just opening those doors, man. There was just something about that. Like if you could feel the energy, like when it hit me, I was like, wow, like it's just people just grind and work, and you see, oh man. I never was starstruck ever, but like going out there, I was like seeing Chad and those guys. I'm like, oh, these guys, I'm about to fight with these guys. You know what I mean? Like I came out like 1-0, like tatted up, no one knew who I was. Like it was nice, kind of under the radar. But then I started going with the guys, and it wasn't until the last day that Uriah came in and he ran the wrestling practice, and that's why I went out. We just kind of talk to Uriah, see if I can get on the team, see if I how I could make it out here. And he put me with all these like nicknames he had for the team, like Sean. And I kept wanting to go with this guy from England because he was out there. And they were all on him. He was like this, next big thing. And I was like, oh no, I'd smash this guy. Like everyone was on it because he's from England and joined the team. But Uriah was putting with every other guy, and that not knowing it until like 3rd, 4th round in, I was like, oh, he's testing me with these guys that on his team. And I remember after wrestling practice, it felt great. It was just the energy every practice. I literally didn't really train for a whole year. I hit some pads, lifted, I had an injury, I had a symptom of vertigo for quite some time that I was recovering from. I had to do a vestibular therapy at the UPMC with Dr. Collins. So I wasn't sparring, wasn't grappling. So I had vertigo every time I looked down, even in bed, rolled over left to right. Finally, went through about 4 months of vestibular therapy and rehab at the UPMC. Got everything feeling good, going out. Hey, no more time, no more wasted time. Let's go see how good I am. Booked the flight, went out there, everything nonstop. It was great. So I remember Uriah, putting with those guys and kind of looking me up and down. He's a clean cut dude, no tattoos, nothing on. He's like, what's up, dude? He's like, did you wrestle? He's like, wrestling looks awesome. I was, oh yeah, I wrestled in Ohio. He said, oh yeah, Ohio with Palmer. I'm like, yeah, it's, so I'm out here. Palmer told me to come out there. Wasn't even there at the gym, so I was kind of doing my own thing. I was staying like 30 minutes away. I had a rental car.
Drive. Did you do that on purpose?
I don't know what he was doing. Now knowing Lance, yeah, he just all over the place, and yeah, so for sure. So I'm like, this guy, like kind of just was like thrown to the wolves like that, nothing. I remember doing this kickboxing class. It was like a turbo kickboxing class with this Dion guy. He did all kind of spinning. I don't spin, here and there I'll do it, but he was doing spinning back heel kicks and all kind. I don't do that kind of stuff. I can't even keep it, definitely back then it was just boxing, maybe some leg kicks, hard leg kicks, and hit the hands and wrestle. So it was cool. So I was doing that because like the pro practice was in the morning. I didn't know it was at night. I got in, I went right to the gym. So he's like, I know, Palmer, and he's like, oh, so you wrestle? I'm like, yeah, he's like, state. I'm like, yeah, I won state. Oh, Uriah is a wrestler. So when he said he won state, Ohio was a freshman, he was like, oh man, like yeah. He's like, so what do you want to do? I'm like, oh, I'm 1-0. I said, ask pro record and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, I'm just 1-0. Told him the backstory. I was out for a little bit with some injury, and I didn't want to see how good I am with stacked up with the talent. You guys have the best best team. I was here all week. I got to, train with the team, and I just wanted to kind of come meet you and see, like, able to come out and train, like, I didn't know how that worked, So I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, dude, definitely. He's like, yeah, man. It's like, I'm already the champion. I said, he kind of looked at me. I was like, yeah, I wanted the UFC champion. He asked what I wanted to do in the fight. I said, I want to be UFC champion. So I know you probably hear that all the time from people from all over the world, that come in and say they're going to do this. So I'm going to, He's like, kind of looked at me again. He's like, all right. Sky, he goes, hey, man. He's like, you got any manager? I'm like, no, man, my mom managed me. He's like, she reads my contracts over, make sure it's good. Like, like that. He's like, get the 5-0, man. He's like, we'll get you in the UFC. So right there, got to work. 5-0 is a number that I needed to get to, and get in the UFC. Started getting my, he said, when can you come back out? I was like, let me go home and tie up some loose strings. I'll be back in a week. I got to be back in a week. I told him that, I just like, I didn't want to be, like, I knew I needed to be there. Went home, tied some things up, was back in a week. He's like, all right, man, he came back. I'm like, yeah, I'm here. I figured I stayed in this one bedroom studio. We had all like the international, people from Japan, China, Australia, Canada, all roomed together. One bathroom. Oh man, it was just like back to him. Like, hey, this is what I need to do to get out to living out of the suitcase. To
back in the grind, baby.
Yeah, because I want to know. I wasn't. But luckily I had a good fan base. So like when I was a pro on the lower level, I was selling tickets. So I would only get paid $500, but I would sell a shit ton of tickets. So I would get 50% ticket sales. So that was helped me fund I would get a fight, knock the guy out, collect the money, spend the week with my family, go back to Sacramento, had a fight already booked before I went out to Sacramento. All right, well, this time I stayed for 2 weeks, had a fight. All right, this time's 4 weeks, got another fight, knocked him out, kept knocking him out, going back. I'm like, all right, well, now this one's 5 weeks. Oh, man, I'm just getting better and better. Like, I could actually be here longer and train. And I got to 4-0, won my first title, pro title at Pinnacle Fighting Championship. And then I ended up being able to move out there. I had some sponsors that was helping me out, but also I was like saving my money. Like, it was all just going into, for flights and my stay and my food, because like I had to learn how to eat out there. Like, everything was organic, to make the weight, because it was like you're a martial artist. You're not just a fighter. You know what I mean? There's so much more that goes into like fighting. How the way you eat, the sleep. And Uriah always spoke after class training to us. Things that we needed to do, or hey, if there's this many hours in a day, it's okay. Like set aside that time if you want to. He'd always bring this analogy up. If you wanted to beat off and drink a beer, he'd always be like that. Like, but don't miss practice. Like, make priority being a martial artist. If you want to do whatever else, he'd always say, you want to do whatever else on on your free time, do that. But set aside that time outside of practice time. Like, show up, put your work in, and be a martial artist. Understand, like, hey, like, it's good to have fun and enjoy life, but when you have to get serious and you have a fight camp coming, you have to, eliminate those distractions and put forth what's going to get you in the best position to win. Because even if you do everything 100% right, it's still a fight. You get clipped by something. It's a game of inches in there, so you don't know. Like, so why would you put yourself at a disadvantage already going into something that's one punch can change the whole, outcome of the fight. So he was really good with like grooming us younger fighters that maybe didn't have the best upbringing or didn't have that martial arts background, like a lot of us, I didn't have that, and we all came together. And so having like a leader like him, and he's been through a lot, he's older, he's in his career, things that happened to him and his family and his life, just anything, but be able to showcase that down to, the younger generation. He was really good at that. So I knew that's where I needed to be. I got a number 5-0. As soon as I got the 5-0, what happened? Got called into the UFC, short notice fight. 6 fights later, 11-0 was world champion. I remember telling Uriah, there's a little clip of us after, we're all getting choked up, Uriah's crying, like I'm like, man, you're making me cry. But we remembered, sitting there talking about, 1-0, first day of practice, first day of meeting Uriah, and, getting to know him and going through the things that we went through, in under 2 years in the UFC, being a world champion.
And when you won the world championship, that fight was amazing. I know we watched it, stuff like that, and I mean, you dominated. Like, was that one of those fights where you just felt like you were just on it? You know, there's some days, you know, you might feel a little flat from training. We train.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what, everybody, I mean, dude, you were shooting doubles. I mean, you were there, you were doing what, burpees? And like, you know, like,
push-ups, yeah, I love it.
You were going to
You know, for me, it was great. You know, it was one of those things that I've always just envisioned, you know, my darkest days, hard, like I said, struggles, everything I overcame. But for me to be in the present, you know what I mean? I think Tyron Woodley, I saw him the week at the fight, you know, the championship fight. You know, we always, you know, super close, you know, a big fan of his. He came up to me and he was champion at the time. He's like, hey, man, he's like, take it all in. He's like, you know, you only fight one time for your first world title. And when he said that to me, I kind of said, and I was like, damn, like, that's right. You know, like, don't let the bright lights blind you. But like for me and my whole entire life, I love to be in that. Not because it was some kind of ego stroke. I think it was because I was always told I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? To prove to myself that I could, and then getting there, it wasn't as glitz and glamour as everyone made it up to be. You know what I mean? Like, so just being grounded, being present, I should say, with that, like knowing that's the only first. So that was a very, you know, when he said that to me, and someone that I looked up to, have been a world champion, and the career that he had as well, I was like, man, like, yeah. And me and Cruz, we totally carried that pay-per-view. Ronda Rousey and Amanda Nunes didn't into any media, nothing. Ronda didn't. We did. Me and Cruz did it all. I mean, crazy amount of media leading up to that fight. You know, and it was what sold the fight. And the fight delivered. You know, it's a great performance. But like I said, I visioned that so many times, so many different ways, so many different outcomes. But every outcome was me winning. You know, maybe it was a knockout. Maybe it just different ways I knocked him out. Maybe different ways, you know. But I was having so much fun inside that octagon that I was like, I just didn't want it to end. You know what I mean? I felt good. You know, it was fighting arguably the best bantamweight to ever step foot in front of the octagon. You know, was amazing. You're an amazing fighter. You know, and then it was just one of those nights that came together. The riot being there, my friend Maddox was there, his family, my mom. Like, it was just an amazing night, yeah, because I won, but also everybody that was with me that was solely happy for me. You know,
from the beginning.
You know?
Exactly. You know,
and people that when things got rolling came together, but they never switched up. They stayed the same 100%. You know what I mean? My manager Ali, you know, I caught him in 2016, 2 fights before the Cruz. He's the one that got me up again, the Cruz fight, and you know, wins, losses, ups, downs, all kinds of crazy that me and Ali's been through. He's the same. You know what I mean? So it is, you know, nice to have people that's been there with you for a long time, but also people that's kind of, you know, molded you around the way and kept the same energy with you, whether it's wins or losses, whatever it, you know, it doesn't look at like it's just one street.
Correct. And that's important to have the right amount of people around you. I always say it all the time. I said in another podcast, I say champions hang out with champions. Yeah. You want to hang out with losers, you get loser results. You know what I'm saying? And obviously you've made a circle with people that are very important to you. And it doesn't matter how crazy, you know, your dreams were, they supported you. And they were with you the entire time. That's probably made it a very special moment for you.
Oh, I mean, if you can go back and just bottle that up, hold that, and you know, that's right there, the ultimate drug ever. You know what I mean? Just that, like I said, not because I won. Like, honestly, when I won the title, I was like, that's it, kind of, you know what I mean? Like, I wanted more. I thought there was going to be so much more. But I was able to sit back and reflect on, like, little things that I can remember, conversations in the corner where I've been in a huge room of 40 people, but, like, you know, my mom, I remember grabbing, you know, my mom after the fight, and we're actually here at the gym. This is where they had us staying. Yeah. Tower 2 even. So I was like, it's crazy. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, when you said MGM, you're staying. So yeah, it's like, we're here in like in a room like this. And I grabbed my mom. I was like, remember, Mom, I told you, I was like, give me till 25, I'll make this happen. 25 years old, world champion.
Power of belief in manifesting right there. I got a 3-part question. So most people are never going to know what it's like walking out in front of tens of thousands of people, right? And they're not going to know what it's like to have millions of people around the world looking at you, right? Most people are going through life never knowing that's like. What was that like for you the first time? Like, if you could describe, like, walking out in front of all these tons of people, knowing millions are going to see it, then having Dana White wrap the belt around you, and then talking to Joe Rogan. So what's Dana White like in real life? What's Joe Rogan like, and what was that like walking out in front of all those people?
Yeah, for me, I don't like that. You know, I'm even, you go in a high school gymnasium, and like, it's full, you know, I don't like doing that. Like, for me, like, I just already envision myself on the walk. I'm already in the octagon. Like, my friends come to the fight and they get tickets, you know, or like, oh, dude, I'm right by the walkout, you know, early on coming up in the UFC. And they're like, dude, did you see us? I'm like, no, man. Like, dude, you gave us a high five. Like, bro, I'm just kind of just in there.
You're not geeked with your music and stuff like
No,
that?
man,
You're just ready to go in there?
I'm ready.
You're in?
Dude, I'm like, yeah.
Your mind's already there.
I don't know. My mind's kind of like I'm just
Focused, just like
blacked out almost.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's a crazy thing. Like, and that's another thing that it's hard to talk about or hard to like kind of explain in a way. Like, a lot of people don't understand like what you have to do to get yourself physically prepared to go in there and fight another man that believes that he's the best in the world, but mentally, I can't walk around as Cody No Love Garbrandt, you know, or yeah, you know, it'd be bad. You know what I mean? It'd be.
So you turn it on and turn it off.
You have to flip the switch.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like one of those things mentally that, you know, leading up to the fight camp, you know, sometimes you get, you know, a little gung-ho on things and, you know, but realizing, you know, for me, to pull back right now, to live in the present, and then when the time comes, to flip the switch. So that's what I've always been able to do. Even like my high school wrestling coach, I never used to warm up and never wore the warm-ups. And like, he's like, you know, always would say, he's like, you know, you guys got to warm up. You know, Cody's the only one that just does it his own way and he makes it happen. You guys can't do this. You know, I've always was like that, just kind of, you know, flip the switch. He's like, Cody's like, that's what he said, flip the switch. Cody can flip the switch. And, you know, if I tell him one thing, you know, I remember I was at Ironman tournament. I was getting pummeled. Like 8-0 by this kid. I remember that Coach T said something to me. And he called me, like, just started cussing me out, you know, or something like that. And that was another guy that I looked up to as a father figure. He took me around every year, over 30 years plus coaching from a small homegrown school, built, you know, national state placers, all kinds of, you know, stats and titles that he's engraved, you know, into it. But he said something to me, and I'm snapping, and a tech following the kid in that period, you know what I mean? Like, slowly just being able to flip the switch. But the walkout is different. There's so many emotions, dude. It's hard to like sit there and explain it all. You got to
endorphins coming through you.
Endorphins, you know, your thoughts, those intrusive thoughts, man. I'm telling you, like, when that's you're back there before they pull the curtain back, they tell you, hey, Cody, like, after this fight, you got 3 minutes, 5 minutes, you're walking. And they put you in the tunnel or wherever you're at. So you're at the T-Mobile, you're in the tunnel, and your back, it's freezing cold. Everyone's walking around. And it's like, you're trying to get, like, you know, just pumped up in this curtain, this camera's in your face, this girl's going 5, 4, you know, like that. And I'm like, you're just trying to, like, I'm like, you know, for me, I like to be, like, I'm getting in the fight, so I'm kind of claustrophobic as it is. I got to get, like, you know, people getting too close. I'm like, all right, come on, just be here, you know, anxiety ball just in your chest, you're like that. And then, like, once that curtain pulls back, you hear your music on, you start walking, I'm just like, I feel like my knuckles and my glove. I'm like, oh, yeah, shake them out, you know, get the breath work down, the visualize. You know, I just visualize the first 10 seconds of the fight, and then everything else kind of goes off of what he's feeling, how I'm feeling.
How was that then when they announced your name? Because you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
Top. You don't like that either?
No, I wish we just, could be pre-recorded. You know what I mean? Just boom, go, touch gloves, or you don't touch gloves, you just fight. I just want to get in this shit. You know what I mean? That's the...
Is that where that no love came from?
Yeah, I just like being up in the mess, bro. Yeah, I like just getting up in it. Then even in the fight sometimes too, you see me, I'm like, like a dog eyes got to be pulled back, you know. I just want to suck something up, you know. So it's like it's too much fight sometimes, you know, to where it's like, you know, you get a feeling out process. I've never had a feeling out process. One, so I grew up fighting my brother. There was no feeling out process. You let him hit you one time, you're probably not gonna wake up till next week, you know. So it was always just, and then kind of go, what's gonna happen next? You know, your mom's gonna kick your ass, Dad's gonna beat you up, mom's gonna, you know, when we were growing up, like, so it was always like I just had to get in it and then things started to slow down for me. So, yeah, but I mean, it's cool with Bruce Buffer, you know, giving the rock pad, calling your name, where you're from, you know, Yorksville, Ohio. It's cool, you know, it's all bonus, you know, for me. It's awesome. People are, you know, amped up about that, but for me, I just like to fight. I just truly love being inside that octagon and being primal, you know. Closest thing we can get in this life is being primal, is being fighting another man in the cage.
Absolutely. Were you tripping out a little bit the first time Joe Rogan interviewed you?
Yeah, it was my UFC debut, and it's just so you don't want to say some stupid shit now. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if only 2,000 people see it on YouTube. You know what I mean? After a fight or from a camera phone.
Yeah.
You say some stupid shit to Joe Rogan. Why'd I say that? But yeah, it was cool. I just remember, I was like, oh shit, Joe Rogan.
Is he
He's a thick.
Oh yeah.
I remember Ep11. Like he's wide. He's a great guy. Honestly, he's super funny guy. Obviously, he's one of my favorite comedians. But I've always known Joe from Pure Factor and UFC.
Right.
Until I really got into his comedy. I'm like, he's amazing comedy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
He's hilarious.
He's hilarious.
Super witty.
He does a lot too for comedians in general. Like move down to Austin.
Yeah, Austin's got his own club out there. He's showing. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Joe's a phenomenal guy. He truly has been on his podcast a few times. Just like us, like a dude.
Yeah.
Just like a dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And Dana too. Dana, that experience was awesome. Something that that was his vision, being the best promoter. And then they built the UFC into this with the Fertitas. Meeting those guys as well, and being able to just have gratitude and being thankful for the vision that they saw and the chances that they took early on building this promotion allowed me to dream, being 12 years old, was being a UFC champion. That was me. Like, what are you gonna do? Be a fighter? All my teachers, like we said, like, are you gonna make a living? Are you gonna be able to make a living off fighting? And I was like, well, I don't know. I just, it's like can't be so fearful of your passions and worry about, like, are you gonna, survive? Like, it's a passion. Listen to your heart. So, like, had all my teachers and people just say, how you gonna make it? It was tough, but like for me, like that's something that I love to do. I enjoyed it. Even on the hardest days, toughest training days, injuries, setbacks, losses, something that I've always just wanted to do and just went after it.
When you wrapped the belt around your waist, describe what was going through your head. You're like, I worked my whole life for this. This is what I dreamt about. This is what I always wanted. Can you describe that moment when Dana put the belt around your waist and you're thinking?
Yeah. It was awesome. It was a great feeling of accomplishment, but a feeling of what's next. I wanted more. Not that wasn't fulfilling or appetizing for me to win a world championship, but it's just why I wanted more, but for that, a split second to where I did that, first initial reaction was, wow, this belt's pretty heavy because I never touched one. Never, I never held one. Never wanted to. I just get my own. I want to hold another man's belt.
Right.
That. TJ Dillashaw was a world champion for a while, and he had the belt in and stuff, for signings or whatever, or game and paraded, with the team, congratulate him. I was like, oh, not. People taking pictures holding it. I'm like, man, that's another man's belt. I'll take a picture with him. I'm happy for him. Right. But I'm not. And I'd be like, oh, that's my belt,
You still got beef with him?
No,
you over that?
He's where he's at and I'm where I'm at. You know what I mean? So I feel like I always said, like, even like I'm not going to cry over spilled milk, karma will get him and do him, so.
Kind of seems like it went that route.
Yeah, it definitely did, and you can't only, treat your body like that until, we talk about father time. His just came a little sooner, so.
Right.
And I'm here, like, I can't. I learned all in my life, not to hold anger, you know what I mean? Like, I had a father that wasn't there, you know what I mean? So, like, why would I didn't know him, so why would I hold on, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that early on, like, I gotta understand when kids were be mad or upset or angry all the time if their parents weren't there. But for me, it was like, I remember thinking these thoughts, like, why would I cry or be upset about a man that I don't know? You know what I mean? Like, let him win or let him have that control over, like, he can control my emotions like that. So it was like, and I took that throughout my whole life. You know what I mean? Okay, if you did me wrong, okay, you did me wrong. Okay, we'll move on.
What about Conor McGregor?
No, not at all. Conor, no, yeah, that whole thing, that situation was got into a conflict. He was just talking so much, and Uriah was not, like, he's not very confrontational. You can tell it was making Uriah feel uncomfortable because he didn't know the situation wholeheartedly with TJ. And, there was speculation that TJ was leaving and going to do his own thing in Denver. But, I think with me and Uriah, I've always had upfront, just honest conversation with him. And I think a lot of the guys would go around his back or behind him, or not be upfront with them until it was like till it's blind point. They're like, well, like till it was like how with TJ and a lot of those things, because I think a lot of them, they respect them a lot. Don't want to upset them, and things like that. So like for me, like I was always, if I had something that was on my mind, I was pressing me, I just went up to him. That's how I've always been. I'd rather just right away. I don't. And sometimes it's good in situations. Sometimes you gotta let things kind of like simmer down but like for me, I need to like just get in the shit. Like I'm always in the shit. Like I just gotta get in there and calm it down. Fix it, move on. Either go different ways or we communicate and go from there. So yeah, that was the whole thing. And then Connor was just chipping back and forth, and it was him and Andre that was going back and forth. And he was like, "Yo, dude," like kind of like looked over in our direction, like, "Yo, do nothing. Yo, none of y'all do nothing." And I was like, "Oh man, this guy's asking for." Fuck it. So I'll do something, you know what I mean? And then he stood up, I stood, we pushed, and it was a little thing. But later down the road, he like, he's like, he was, loyal to Uriah and sitting in front. I'm like, yeah, of course, like I have no hard feelings with Connor or the situation that he was in, and he understands that because he would do the same thing. I mean, the dude flew a jet over to New York and smashed windows out, for a friend that was, with the Khabib situation. Right. So, yeah, it's understanding, but.
Do you feel like he was doing that for show, for the cameras, or do you feel like he was really about that?
I think that's
what's he really like?
I think that's just Connor.
Yeah, he's a starter. Like he.
No, I wouldn't say a starter. It's just like he's built himself, to where it's at. It's like how it's kind of hard to like.
Yeah, like when you're on the Ultimate Fighter show, like he wasn't ever performing for the cameras as far as like trying to push buttons or anything, or that's just too easy.
I think he's quick witted, smooth with it, the way he trash talks, gets aroused out of people. So yeah, he's just confident. Some people want to say cocky, but he's just confident in himself. He was the interim champ, he defeated Chad, it was right before that time, so right there you got and it's crazy, sometimes not saying it for him, but the money, the fame, the championship, it changes a lot of people
for sure.
Yeah.
I noticed that too. Like I feel like a lot of people around me changed, and it was like gave me a bad taste in my mouth for being a champion, being like what it brings to, and you know what I mean? Because I just wanted to be the best. I didn't want the extra stuff that it came with it.
Did it come with some bad energy that you had to know to recognize?
100%.
Like anything else, you hear about like Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
People coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, for sure. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like they see opportunity, with something. For me, I never had money in my entire life. It wasn't even the money. It was like the opportunities that have that performance like that, be a world champion, where the UFC was growing and building and going into now, just so the WME a few years back, that opens up a whole new, WME and all the movies, Hollywood realm. Now with WWE, the merge of that, like it just keeps growing and growing and growing. But for me, at the end of the day, like I love fighting. I want to do this as long as I can, and other stuff is able to prosper from that. Thankful, filled with gratitude about it, but I just truly love to fight.
Would you ever do bare knuckle?
Oh, I would love to be in
Really?
I think bare knuckle would be my shit. That's
what Chad did it.
Growing up doing that.
Chad was
Chad was awesome. I thought Chad was him and Eddie fought. I like Eddie a lot. Trained with Eddie in Jersey. So that was a fight. My guys, put it on, both those guys. But just stylistically for Chad, like he's got the shorter arms, 2-minute rounds. He has his wrestling snap down so strong from there, and then bare knuckle, you're allowed to kind of like hang on the head and do little short shots. And I thought that he was, there was when he got into it, I was like, Chad, this is perfectly set up for you. When's the last time you ever did anything for 2 minutes? Like we were used to do 5-minute rounds and train. Like he's like, yeah, it's great, So he did good. He did awesome. Got a lot of money and was able to fund his, Fins and Feathers.
Yes. Yeah.
Fins and Feathers. Yeah.
He goes
awesome. Kills it, man. Kills it out there. Gets to love what he does.
Like Guido.
Guida has Gills and Thrills. Yeah, some guys, got to use, and like I said, their passion allows us fuel for the other passion. Like I always hear like Chad never really wanted to fight. He only fought just to fund his hunting passion. you know. And Chad would come in 6 weeks out from camp, and off the couch, and just be a freak of nature, no rust, nothing, just spar, strong, fast, in shape. It's like, damn, this guy's a specimen. Right. I mean, straight up, that guy was amazing to train with. You know, when I came up there, I was in a lot of his camps, you know. When I got out to Alpha Male, I wanted to get the best, get as much work as I can, so I did everybody's camp. Everybody was in the camp. I felt like I was in a camp for a whole year. You know what I mean? Then I finally got my camps, you know, but I was still fighting, you know, but helping them out with their camps and training and sparring, whatever they needed. So it was great, but he was a phenomenal athlete to test your mental with, your skill.
I got to ask you, what are your thoughts on this new sensation of this whole entertainment realm of these YouTube boxers and whatnot?
Yeah, first when like with Jake Paul was coming up, you know, not that I had any dislike for Jake. I wanted the MMA side to, like, you know, to succeed. You know, and I'm like, you know, going there like he's saying, beat up all these MMA fighters, and whoever helped him, you know, groom his career early on with the MMA fighters, with the Tyron Woodley, Anderson Silva, Ben Askren, all these guys, like, that was smart, because these guys are at the tail end of their careers. This guy is young, he's, you know, hungry, he doesn't have the damage of these guys' 20, 25 plus year, you know, MMA careers. You know, it takes a lot out of you. You know, it's a lot on your body, especially in the, you know, now we're having new studies of high-low days, less sparring, you know. The sport's evolving. That's why you see it evolving now, because people are rested, not just sparring every day like we used to at a young age. So, like, my thing was always, I wanted the MMA, you know, like, dude, these guys are MMA fighters, but they strategically got those opponents for him. You know, hats off to him. He did amazing with that. Catapulted his name. He's always knocking out UFC world champion. He dropped Anderson Silva. You know, he's, you know, knocked out Ben Askren. He's like, you know, so for me, it was hard at first, but I was like, hey, you know what? Good for you. Go get your money, get this. But you know, see this thing, you never see an influencer say, I'm gonna fight in MMA. I'm gonna fight in the UFC. Jake Paul fighting in the UFC, Logan Paul fighting in the UFC, any of these influencers fighting in the UFC. They easily can do that. If you can go to boxing, why can't you go in the UFC? Because you know what will happen. You know, it's and nothing against boxing, because boxing I absolutely love. I love it so much. MMA is the most physical, mental, emotional, demanding. I don't know, I ain't call it a sport, because it's not a sport. It's a fight, you know?
Yeah.
And so there's a reason why they don't get in the MMA.
Right.
I am in the UFC. Just go, hey, go fight, go just have an MMA fight with another YouTuber. You're not going to. You don't say not have. That's why you got to give James Toney. Hats off to James Toney, dude. Ankle pick choked out by Randy the Natural Couture. Like, fuck, man. This dude smoking a cigarette on the way. You know,
he was not ready for that, bro.
Yeah, he was like, dude, it was just, yeah. I mean, but he got in there. Mayweather ain't in there.
Yeah.
Like Tony was, you know, multiple world champion in boxing. Absolutely. Probably one of the greatest.
For sure.
Comes in MMA.
Right. Yeah.
How was that feeling when you knock somebody out?
It's
in front of all those people, man, and everyone was nuts.
It's great. It's like, you know, like once you land that shot, like it's, you know, it's kind of like one of those things. Like it's a big just rush of adrenaline, like and emotions. Like, all right, it's awesome, we did it, and then it's like, all right, good. Now get out of here, go home, see my son, see my dog. You know, enjoy that. But it's an awesome feeling. You know, I always feel like it's, no matter what, I feel like I'm always in like a life or death situation in the fight. Like until it's over, it's over. You know what I mean? Like it's done, it's done. You're like, all right.
Oh yeah, it's not done, it's done. You did knock off a home run like with 2 seconds left. You came from left field and just it was over with.
Yeah, that was a great knockout. That was that one hit in marks. I mean, the way your body, you know, generates force is from ground up. So literally, and that's like all the basically movement you do. You load it all here and come up. So it was like one of the hard shots. You know what I mean? Like ready to snap it right off. I knew when I was down, I looked up and I saw him reaching southpaw for the right, because he was chasing my head. I'm like, oh, he's getting clipped hard by this. I just kept my eyes on him. Bang, head off, came off the lane. You know, the hook hit me here, so my head was over. You know, you had to head off the lane. But I knew once because my hip and hand, the way that it landed, I just knew it was done. I didn't hide. That's why I walked off. You know, so you know when you hit and just even like the former punches, white one, you know, sometimes tries to just wing it, you know, street fight style. But if you snap the punches off, like it can be like, even sometimes you see in the fights like, oh, he got dropped by a jab. Well, yeah, because the jab was thrown properly. It was a snap at the end of the, you know, like a whip. You know, some people have some crazy, crazy hard jabs, especially with that little 4-ounce glove on. And you got basically your hand wrapped with tape. That's a cast. And let's put some leather on it. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, if some of these, you know, hand cornermen that do the corners, dude, my uncle used to wrap my hands, and I swear they were like concrete. You know, he's like, he'd go around when I was an amateur teenager, go around showing everybody, that's a concrete right there. Feel that everyone. Let's just get warmed up. He would create his belly, yeah. And then going to the shows, everyone would like want Bob to wrap his hand. He'd be like, that's $10 a hand. You know, $10. So he'd be making money in the back, wrapping everyone's hand. You know, making like cast and they show, yeah. So, but yeah, it's a great feeling. You know, especially you don't have to go to the pool 15, 25 minutes. It's always nice to, of course, clock in and clock out early, right?
So the name of this podcast is Money, Loyalty, Legacy, right? So ultimately, what do you want your legacy to be for the world?
For me, I would say in my career, in my fighting career, the legacy I would leave behind is that, you know, down the road, someone's explaining fights, and we're sitting back, and we're all old. You know, one of my favorite fighters was, you know, Cody No Love Garbrandt. You know, like the dude always went out there and put on a show, left it all in there. You know, that's what I always remember as. You know, obviously former world champion. You know, hopefully, you know, looking forward, regaining the title. But as a whole, I would just love that legacy as that, you know, definition. He was a fighter. He was, you know, for the people, you know, he was a fan favorite because he went out there and wore his heart on his sleeve, but also inside the octagon. You know, I left everything in there.
Well, I'm going to tell you something right now, Cody. You already got that, brother, because I'm fanboying right now. I'm going to say it. I was a Team Alpha guy from back in the day. All my homies were all like,
Ross is a huge fan.
Yeah, dude, big time. I was a little guy. I was like, dude, all my homies were like, dude, when we're fighting, I'm like, dude, Team Alpha Male, bro, let's go. To close out, what are some things that you would like to promote that you represent as far as, you know, obviously your Instagram and social media, anything of that nature?
Yeah, you know, you follow all my, you know, Twitter and Instagram, Cody_No_Love, and then I have a Facebook fan page, Cody No Love Garbrandt. They're all the verified ones. But also, you know, No Love Bullies. It's something I'm very passionate about. Producing and creating some of the most healthiest, beautiful, well-temperamented dogs. I think a lot of the breeders get a bad rap for being breeders, but there are bad breeders in there, but also some good faith breeders. So, you know, doing everything right, you know, for the dog, for the breed, obviously, first and foremost, you know, creating, you know, adding to people's families. You know, that's one of my favorite things to do. Like when I got into it because I was ripped off of a dog from a huge kennel that was, you know, supposed to be standard, you know, and in the breeding industry. Like, this is the one I went to, paid a lot of money for this dog. This dog was so badly undertaken care of when I got her in my care, and it was just sad to see it, to where like kind of led me to like, you know what, like I got a good platform. I can help, you know, especially the breed too gets a bad rap as it is, but then the breeders, you know. So that's kind of what I got something into. Kind of became a family affair. My mom runs it. My family helps out. Runs the No Love Bullies in Ohio. Yeah, so that's something I'm just passionate about. You know, I enjoy to do and give and add to people's families. But so getting into that, it was just years and years of studying dogs from bigger kennels, the pedigrees, the temperament. Why I wanted to get a bully was I was having a son come up, you know, so I wanted to have like a dog that was protective, that looked vicious, looked scary, but was a big old lap dog. And, you know, Ross has, you have one.
I do.
They're 100-pound plus lap dogs that are just big babies. You know?
Yeah.
And when they need to be, you know, assertive and like kind of, they will be, but, you know, 99% of the time they are
great dogs.
Just
to jump all over Matt, but I mean,
yeah.
Sweetheart. She's super smart, man. She like, I say something and she knows.
Yeah, super smart.
She's a funny person. Dog, I should say.
Yeah.
That's my dog.
I swear my dog. He looks at me sometimes and it's like, man, like, you just.
Like, I really hang out with them than some other
Maybe
people.
I'm just
bro.
too high. I don't know.
We've had those moments for sure.
I gotta put you in the kennel, man. I gotta go steam on. That and this, that's something I like to promote, enjoy. It's passion, like you said. I gotta meet, through Mikey and you, other Mike. Like I've met a lot of good people from the dog industry. Right.
And we're bringing it to Chicago too.
That's right, Chicago Bullies, baby. No love.
So we close it out. You are fighting at UFC 300. Check our boy Cody No Love Garbrandt out.
Let's go.
7 weeks to go, man.
Let's go,
in the thick of it, in the thick of the camp right now. So I'm glad that he was able to, lock down this date. You guys flew out here, and made it happen.
Hey, it was all our pleasure, brother.
An honor, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you very much.
Cody, thank you very much, brother.